Lord Jim by Joseph Conrad. Lord Jim, Chapter 1. He was an inch, perhaps two, under 6 feet, powerfully built, and he advanced straight at you with a slight stoop of the shoulders, head forward, and a fixed from under stare which made you think of a charging bull. His voice was deep, loud, and his manner displayed a kind of dogged self-assertion which had nothing aggressive in it. It seemed a necessity, and it was directed apparently as much at himself as at anybody else. He was spotlessly neat, apparelled in immaculate white from shoes to hat, and in the various eastern ports where he got his living as ship chandler's water clerk, he was very popular. A water clerk need not pass an examination in anything under the sun, but he must have ability in the abstract and demonstrate it practically. His work consists in bracing under sail, steam, or oar against other water clerks for any ship about to anchor, greeting her captain cheerfully, forcing upon him a card, the business card of the ship chandler, and on his first visit on shore, piloting him firmly but without ostentation to a vast cavern-like shop, which is full of things that are eaten and drunk on board ship, where you can get everything to make her seaworthy and beautiful, from a set of chain hooks for her cable to a book of gold leaf for the carvings of her stern. Where her commander is received like a brother by a ship chandler he has never seen before, there's a cool parlor, easy chairs, bottles, cigars, writing implements, a copy of harbor regulations, and a warmth of welcome that melts the salt of a 3 months' passage out of a seaman's heart. The connection thus begun is kept up, as long as the ship remains in harbor, by the daily visits of the water clerk. To the captain he is faithful, like a friend, and attentive like a son, with the patience of Job, the unselfish devotion of a woman, and the jollity of a boon companion. Later on the bill is sent in. It is a beautiful and humane occupation, therefore good water clerks are scarce. When a water clerk who possesses ability in the abstract has also the advantage of having been brought up to the sea, he is worth to his employer a lot of money and some humoring. Jim had always good wages and as much humoring as would have bought the fidelity of a fiend. Nevertheless, with black ingratitude, he would throw up the job suddenly and depart. To his employers, the reasons he gave were obviously inadequate. They said, "Confounded fool," as soon as his back was turned. This was their criticism on his exquisite sensibility. To the white men in the waterside business, and to the companions of the ship, he was just Jim, nothing more. He had, of course, another name, but he was anxious that it should not be pronounced. His incognito, which had as many holes as a sieve, was not meant to hide a personality, but a fact. When the fact broke through the incognito, he would leave suddenly the seaport where he happened to be at the time and go to another, generally farther east. He kept the seaports because he was a seaman in exile from the sea, and his ability in the abstract, which is good for no other work but that of a water clerk. He retreated in good order towards the rising sun, and the fact followed him casually but inevitably. Thus, in the course of years, he was known successively in Bombay, in Calcutta, in Rangoon, in Penang, in Batavia, and in each of these halting places was just Jim, the water clerk. Afterwards, when his keen perception of the intolerable drove him away for good from seaports and white men, even into the virgin forest Malays of the jungle village, where he had elected to conceal his deplorable faculty, added a word to the monosyllable of his incognito. They called him Town Jim, as one might say, Lord Jim. Originally he came from a parsonage. Many commanders of fine merchant ships come from these these abodes of piety and peace. Jim's father possessed such certain knowledge of the unknowable as made for the righteousness of people in cottages without disturbing the ease of mind of those whom an unerring providence enables to live in mansions. The little church on a hill had the mossy grayness of a rock seen through a ragged screen of leaves. It had stood there for centuries, but the trees around probably remembered the laying of the first stone. Below the red front of the rectory gleamed with warm tint in the midst of grass plots, flower beds, and fir trees. With an orchard at the back, a paved stable yard to the left, and the sloping glass of greenhouses tacked along a wall of bricks. The living had belonged to the family for generations, but Jim was one of 5 sons, and when after a course of light holiday literature his vocation for the sea had declared itself, he was sent at once to a training ship for officers, the mercantile marine. He learned there a little trigonometry and how to cross top-gallant yards. He was generally liked. He had the 3rd place in navigation and full stroke in the first cutter. Having a steady hand with an excellent physique, he was very smart aloft. His station was in the foretop, and often from there he looked down with the contempt of a man destined to shine in the midst of dangers, at the peaceful multitude of roofs cut in two by the brown tide of the stream, while scattered on the outskirts of the surrounding plain the factory chimneys rose perpendicular against the grimy sky, each slender like a pencil and belching out smoke like a volcano. You could see the big ships departing, the broad-beamed ferries constantly on the move, the little boats floating far below his feet, the hazy splendor of the sea in the distance, and the hope of stirring life in the world of adventure. On the lower deck, the babble of 200 voices, he would forget himself and beforehand live in his mind the sea life of light literature. He saw himself saving people from sinking ships, cutting away masts in a hurricane, swimming through a surf with a line, or as a lonely castaway barefoot and half naked, walking on uncovered reefs in search of shellfish to stave off starvation. He confronted savages on tropical shores, quelled mutinies of the high seas, and in a small boat upon the ocean kept up the hearts of despairing men. Always an example of devotion to duty and as unflinching as a hero in a book. "Something's up, come along." He leaped to his feet. The boys were streaming up the ladders. Above could be heard a great scurrying about and shouting, and when he got through the hatchway, he stood still, as if confounded. I'm Jonathan Engwall. Thank you for listening.